Good morning, everyone. This is Angela Jean from Print Audit. We're just going to give everyone a few minutes to join, and we will begin shortly. Please stay tuned. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the SBB Roadshow 2.0 webinar, Lose Your Competitors and Not Your Seat. My name is Wes McDonald, and I am the Vice President of Business Development at Print Audit. And as many of you know, also a huge proponent of seat-based billing for quite a number of years. And the purpose of today's webinar is to give you a sneak peek at some of the reasons that you may want to attend our final SBB Roadshow for the year. So first of all, let's look quickly at the agenda. So SBB, the future of managed print, will give you an introduction of why we think that's the case. And then we'll move into why dealers and customers can both benefit from seat-based billing. And it truly is a model that allows perfect alignment between what we're looking for in the channel and what our customers are looking for. Who should attend the SBB Roadshow? And maybe who shouldn't? What will be covered at the SBB Roadshow, so we'll have a look at the agenda, at the actual educational tracks, which will be covered, cost and registration details, and we'll also look at some testimonials. SBB has been around long enough now that we do have some great testimonials from dealers that are currently doing seat-based billing. And we'll speak with some of the other partners in the SBB ecosystem to find out why they're involved and why they're supporting this effort. And then we'll have 5 or 10 minutes for Q&A at the end of the session. So let's get right into it. First of all, let's look at some numbers. As many of you are aware, working at Print Audit, we collect user and device metrics, and we've been doing so for the entire history of our company. And other people collect those numbers as well, and they really speak to what's happening in the office equipment channel. If you look on the right-hand side of the graph, you can see the second bullet point there says that seat-based billing is the future of managed print, and that is not a quote from Print Audit. In fact, if you look at the source at the bottom, that is used by permission from Emerging Market Trends for 2018, a presentation that was given by John Shane from InfoTrends. And most of the numbers, people in the marketplace that actually analyze these statistics, are saying the same things. All right. So what's wrong with cost per page? Obviously, if we're introducing a alternative business model, that's actually a pretty big ask. We've been doing cost per page in the office equipment channel for, I don't know, call it 30 years. And in the managed print space, maybe solidly for 15 years. We completely transitioned from doing regular cartridge sales to managed print for cost per page. And all of our systems are built around that. If it's billing, if it's how we do profitability checking, etc., right? So why on earth would we, move away from this? Well, the truth is the numbers speak for themselves. If you look at this quote, the MFP installed base is expected to decline during the forecast period of 2017 to 2021 because of slowing shipment volume. The declining installed base, when combined with segment level AMPV declines, results in an overall declining page volume forecast. The hardware market is overall mature. And that's maybe not a word we all like to talk about in our space, but when we look at it, mature says that certain sectors of our market are no longer growing. And so we have to find other ways to make sure that we're increasing our margins and satisfying our customers in a mature market. So first of all, what is seat-based billing? I always like to talk to this slide because there is some confusion around it. When we talk about a seat, there are really a couple different ways to measure that seat. So I'll read the definition first, and then we'll talk a little bit to it. So seat-based billing for managed print is a flat fee per month and covers support for all print-enabled devices used by a client. So seats, and this is the important part, can be users, in some cases they're devices, and they can be a combination of the two. Seat-based billing is not billed per seat. That's why we call it seat-based billing. And for the actual billing portion of how we deliver this, it's delivered as what's known in the IT channel as a value-based bill. And that value-based bill is one lump sum that covers all devices, users, supplies, and services related to page output and related services. And this is really critical because when we talk about seat-based billing, we're talking about getting a clearer picture of the who, what, when, where, and why of how people are printing and looking at ways that we can help them to be more efficient and effective. And as you'll see in the numbers in just a few slides, that it's really important because this can actually give us back a lot of margin, as well as saving customers money at the same time. I've got a purple cow here. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with the purple cow story. It's one that I've told numerous times over the years. And the purple cow, essentially, let's just use an example. Let's say that you're going on a family vacation and you've decided this year you're going to do a road trip. And on the first day, the entire family is exceptionally excited. You get up in the morning, you pack the car, everyone's laughing, you got the map out, you're ready to go. And as you continue the drive, as people start to get a little more tired and bored, you start to introduce some games. And one of them might be counting cows in the field. So as you're driving along, the kids start counting cows, and they're up to about 36, and they get bored and stop. And there's still lots of cows in the field. They're not counting them anymore. Instead, they start looking at each other, maybe pinching each other or finding other ways to annoy each other. And after about 6 hours in this lovely family vacation ride, everyone is ready to lose their minds. And thank goodness for pit stops. So when you get to the gas station, everyone piles out of the car. And all of a sudden, you look to the field to the right, and you see this purple cow. And you poke your kids, and they look over and see this purple cow, and your wife or your husband, and they see the purple cow. And so you walk over to the fence to get a closer look at this because you can't believe that there's this purple cow standing in the field. And certain questions start to come up. Was it painted purple? Is the hair purple to the root? Is this a hybrid? What on earth is going on here? And the important part of this is that the only difference between this cow and all the other cows that we've been seeing during the day, the ones that we no longer saw because we were bored, is color. So the idea of a purple cow is to have a significant enough value differentiator from your competitors that doesn't have to recreate the wheel. And that's really what seat-based billing does. For how you deliver services, the kinds of things that you're making money on, these all remain the same. Now, why would we want to look at creating a purple cow for our business? Well, for one, we know that competing on price right now is absolutely impossible. We are at exactly the same position in the marketplace today with cost per page as we were all those years ago when we were trying to get out of just cartridge-based sales. And it's because we're in a mature market. The customers are used to the buying process. Our competitors are used to the selling process. And unfortunately, we've actually driven down margins, a lot of it ourselves, by offering cost savings on the page. The other part is that regional dealers are looking for ways to grow, and the only way to do that in a marketplace as we are in today is to make sure that we have some point of differentiation. We're not going to win new business based on price. So let's look at the math for a second. And this is probably my favorite slide of the presentation, because this is when I had my aha moment a number of years ago, when I looked at a different way for us to actually maintain margins. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see, basically how the customer saves money. So in the current state, they could be spending almost $30,000. In the future, under a seat-based program, their spend could go down to $23,000, almost $24,000, for a savings annually of just about $6,000, or close to 20%. Now, in a traditional managed print assessment, typically how we get there is by having equipment that is priced less or pages that are priced less. So that really doesn't benefit us. But on the right-hand side, you'll notice, and this is based on exactly the same scenario in a seat-based environment where that customer is saving almost 20%, that our GP per user is $5.08, that we've actually increased our GP in this account by 0.33 for an increase percentage of 6.48% in the account. And that's an important number because that means that we're increasing our gross profit in the account by 6.5, like total dollars in that account by 6.5%. So the customer saves 20%, and we actually make another 6.5% more on our margin. So that is what we call perfect alignment. And you can't do this under a cost per page program. This math simply doesn't work, only under a seat-based program. So other than the numbers, why do both dealers and customers like seat-based billing? I think the first one, and this one kind of took us by surprise when we were building the model, just to remind everyone that when we started this project, this is not a print audit program. This is something that was born from working with 29 dealers and partners through the Seat-Based Billing Council. And as we were interviewing end users for benefits that they may enjoy in a program like this, one of the first ones that came up was the ability for 100% budgetability, right? So the fact that they would know every month exactly what their costs would be instead of guessing. And when you look at how the subscription model or everything as a service is taking over in the world, those really are the primary benefits for anyone that's offering them. If you look at Netflix, for example, people are quite happy to pay a monthly subscription for Netflix for unlimited use of the content. Some months they may only watch one movie. Other months they may, binge for 9 hours on a series that they've been looking forward to. But at the end of the day, their cost is always the same. That buying trend we're seeing explode across the world for all kinds of sectors. Potential cost reductions through workflow improvements. So yes, you did see a 20% reduction in costs. Those costs that the customer's saving were not taken from our toner margins, and they were not taken from the cost of our equipment. They were actually taken from looking at their workflow and finding areas for improvement. And in the roadshow, we talk in detail about what all of these areas are. The third point is unified billing for multiple services and offerings. I would expect that a lot of people on the call today are actually looking at expanding their business portfolio. So if you are an office equipment dealer or a managed print provider, you may also be looking at managed IT services or document management or telephony or a combination of all of those things. The great thing about having a seat-based bill is that you can layer additional services on top of it and fatten the contract, the seat price that you're offering to the customer. You simply can't do that under a cost per page model. You have to bill the customer in a different way for different services. This allows us to have a unified platform. The next benefit for both of us is improved document security. Security obviously is a huge topic of conversation across all sectors right now. If you're in the office equipment space, if you're in the managed IT space, is really important. And some of the side effects of some of the tool sets used in seat-based billing allow for a dramatic improvement in how secure document production is. The next one is guaranteed savings. I've been in the managed print space for 15 years, and for a lot of those years, I actually conducted managed print assessments, going out to organizations and finding ways that we could save them money. And the key word I just said there was could save them money, right? So if the stars were aligned and the moon was in the right phase, then the customer could save 20% based on what we were proposing. But the problem is we never really knew, right? Until the actual rollout happened, we didn't know if that was going to be 5%, 10%, or 15%. Under a seat-based program, those savings are guaranteed because we know what they're spending today under their cost per page program. And under the seat program, because it's a flat rate monthly bill for all of their print services, there's a direct correlation between what they are spending and with what they will be spending, which is 100% secure. So we can now talk about not that you could save, but you will save. And again, not coming from our toner or our hardware margins. The last one is measurability, sustainability metrics. So because we're gathering things on the who, what, where, when, and why of how people print, we can also convert those into some sustainability metrics for carbon footprint, for trees, etc. And although no one's going to choose a program based on that last point, knowing that they have that as part of the program is always well received. Okay, so let's look at this for a second. The first point that we have here again for trying to look at this alignment is that as dealers, I can guarantee you that you probably have a list of accounts that are in your potential to fire list. In other words, bad accounts that you've re-signed to a price that is not really making you any money to keep them away from a competitor because someone came in with a cheaper price, and to maintain that contract that you've actually lowered your price to a point where it's no longer profitable. And just in general in the marketplace, poor margins upon these renewals, even if there's not a competitor, that customers are typically looking for some kind of additional financial incentive to re-sign that contract for the next 3 to 5 years. So we're recommending right out of the gate that any of those unprofitable customers that you have, those are great opportunities to turn into profitable ones using the seat-based billing model. The second one is to up your game with user management. It was a really big deal. I can remember in the early days training dealers on how to install either an information collection engine or a DCA. And people said, oh, no, our customers will never let us install that. Well, the truth is they did. And once we saw the benefits of installing an ICE engine or a DCA, we quickly realized, hey, this is a lot more cost effective to be able to get the meters this way. We can get toner alerts. We can get all kinds of other things to help us actually make this, this managed print much more beneficial both to us and our customers. The same is true under a seat-based billing agreement with user management. So we can use that big data that we're collecting that's produced by users, documents, and devices to help deliver a better program for our customers. We can focus on workflow to also raise our game. Some of the areas that we're looking to help save customers money in a seat-based billing arrangement are directly related to the workflow of what and why they're printing things. The next point is a level platform for future dealer growth. And as we talked about, previously in the other slide, is that if you're looking to add any of these other, services to your business, why not get used to seat-based delivery of billing and something that you're already used to? So if you already have a bunch of customers that are doing managed print with you, what a great place to start to learn how to do a flat, rate subscription service to get you ready for when you start offering these other, services. Then it becomes much easier to convince your customer, oh, I get it. You're offering me managed IT now. It's just another layer on the seat that you're already billing me for. It also allows us to explore new ways to layer that seat in the future, and I have no idea what those things could be. I have mentioned document management, other business process optimization efforts, etc. But there are things coming down the road that we're not even aware of today. But anything can be built on a on a seat basis. So what about the roadshow itself? Now that we've talked about the basic tenets of seat-based billing, the seat-based roadshow was developed a number of years ago, and this was again an effort through our seat-based billing council, was the need for education. And that one of the things that we're certainly big on at Print Audit, if you've seen any of our learning tree updates, is that we actually reward our staff and our partners for learning efforts. And we should never stop learning. So I would certainly say that at the seat-based billing roadshow, whether you intend to do seat-based billing or not, that it's a great opportunity for you to come and learn exactly what the model is all about. And that could be because you're going to adopt it, or maybe you're going to sell against it. I don't care which path you're going to take, but you should understand what seat-based billing really is. So the roadshow is going to be a powerful half-day learning event. This is the last one that we'll be doing for 2018. And as I talked about, it'll give you all the necessary components to successfully deliver or sell against a seat-based billing program, your choice, but at least you'll understand what you're up against or what you're going to be doing. And seat-based billing for managed print will allow you to win more deals. We know this, we've seen it. To capture greater margins, again, we know this and we've seen it. And to gauge many more net new customers, that there are a pool of customers out there who may not be interested in cost per page, but could be interested in some kind of flat rate billing program to get them on board. So what's going to be covered at the show? Well, we try and cover everything that's important, both for the pre-build of a seat-based billing program all the way through to final delivery. So the first thing that we talk about is marketing and messaging. Um, all of our attendees actually become SBB certified, and you get a toolkit, access to a portal, which gives you some pre-built marketing and messaging, items. And these are absolutely critical to make sure that you're delivering the message to your customers about this program, making sure that you have everything done ahead of time, so as your people move into the next part, which is selling it, that they understand what they're selling. The second part is sales compensation and funnel management. This is a different kind of sale from cost per page. You're still selling managed print, which doesn't change, but the way that customers are going to expect to actually pay for that is changing. And how you pay your sales reps may or may not, change depending on direction. And we go through several different models of compensation for sales organizations that are doing SBB. The next one is user-based assessments. So yes, there is some learning here, that in a traditional assessment, we might just look at the device metrics, how many pages monochrome, how many color, what's the coverage, how many toner cartridges does it go through a year, etc. How often does it break? Under a seat-based billing thing, we're also going to look at, the who, what, where, when, and why they're printing. So for example, how much of their color output is actually email and web printing? And of the total print volumes that they're doing, how much is actually waste volume, and other pages that go immediately into recycling without ever being used, right? So we need a different platform to be able to gather those metrics and understand that. The third one, and this is really important, is the SBB contract language. And this is also provided to all of our certified members who leave the roadshow. And that we have terms and conditions, obviously, that are very specific to protecting you as a dealer and making your customer aware of what are fair practices in a seat-based billing landscape that are different from what they were under a cost per page landscape. The other thing we cover, and this is always one of my favorite sessions, and I'm certainly not a finance person, but I love the presentation that is given by Great America Leasing on the finance and invoice options, because obviously building a vehicle for, what's the expression? If you're not leasing, you're not living, right? So an actual financial vehicle that allows seamless integration of a seat-based billing contract, even if you're financing new equipment. The other one is wholesale options, and this is really important, is that, sometimes I hear people say, I love SBB, it's so awesome, but I'm still afraid of the risk of not making money. Well, that doesn't have to be the case, because partners like Clover in the ecosystem actually have a wholesale option, and you'll learn about that if you decide to go down a wholesale route. And the next one is converged services options. And finally, actually building a profitable seat price. And this is one that I'm really excited about, and I'll talk about in a few more minutes, for a new addition to the Seat-Based Billing Roadshow family, who's delivering a huge amount of value to being able to make sure that you're profitable, as you move into these value-based contracts. So who should attend? This isn't really for salespeople or, for people that are at smaller department levels. This really is for business owners. We understand that as a dealership, change starts from the top, and really as business owners, you need to at least understand the concepts to determine if you think it's a good idea or a bad idea. And this will be a full half day to explore seat-based billing as an option for your business. So we certainly encourage all business owners and senior managers to make sure that they attend. Again, this isn't really for salespeople yet. If there are department heads for sales, people that are going to have to manage the finance and back office of an SBB offering, service teams, because obviously it changes now how you measure service profitability, and any marketing heads, because the messaging is going to be really important as you launch this into the marketplace. And of course, we always like to say, don't take our word for it. I mean, we've been doing these roadshows now for a couple of years, and as a consequence, we do have a number of clients which are out there actively using it in the marketplace. You can see a quote here from Annie Office Systems, that they've always prided themselves in cutting edge services and forward thinking. With seat-based billing, we have an opportunity to remain agile at the forefront of the competitive managed print services market. And also on the right-hand side, a solid partner of ours, Harris Technologies, that says, as a dealer going up against larger competitors with seemingly unlimited resources, Harris Technologies needed to stand out. And we do that by hyper-focusing on reducing print volumes, something our large competitors avoid, and especially under cost per page contracts. In order for the approach to be profitable, we had to change the way we bill our clients. The answer, seat-based billing. And thanks to Ben Harris, the president at Harris Technologies, for that one. A couple of other ones from Office Interiors, which is a great Canadian partner of ours, working with Print Audit and participating on the Seat-Based Billing Council provided us some unique insight on how we can provide alternative approaches for growing our managed print services business. We took these ideas and were successful in gaining new business using the methodology. And Bendix Imaging has been a long-term partner of ours, both as a premier member and as an SBB dealer. And as an office equipment and MSP, because Bendix has both sides of the business, both managed IT and office equipment, we're closing SBB contracts that are more profitable than cost per page contracts that they're replacing. It works. Now, what I'd like to do is just take a few moments and actually speak with a few of our partners in the ecosystem. And that's one thing I also have to clarify with people is that this is not a print audit offering. We don't sell seat-based billing. We are part of a strong family of partners that provide the necessary components in an ecosystem for a dealer to be able to provide seat-based billing. And I guess I'll speak to mine first, that obviously a print audit, why do we do this? At the end of the day, print audit, we made it our mission actually this year to save the office equipment industry. And in order to do that, we knew that we had to diversify, and we knew that we had to offer things that were different from the way that things were done in the past. Seat-based billing and document management were both answers for us to be able to do that. You got to remember, print audit is 100% subscription based. We don't sell anything. Like, we have our members pay us a fixed monthly fee every month, just like we would ask people to do in a seat-based billing contract. And if we don't keep them happy, and if they're not finding new and unique ways to make money and maintain margins, then we don't get those subscriptions. So selfishly for us, seat-based billing helps keep our dealer community healthy so that they continue to be happy, subscribers. And maybe what I'll do is ask for Aldo Spencieri from Clover Imaging Group to talk about why Clover Imaging is involved with seat-based billing.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, just to kind of reiterate what Wes was mentioning, we looked at seat-based billing because our dealer community has been hurting. The race to the bottom on cost per page is real. So we as an industry and not only Clover, but with Print Audit and Great American, now BAI as a group, we're trying to educate the industry to find innovative ways, not only to bring the cost reduction to that end user, but for us as providers to be able to make more money behind that subscription fee, that whether it be the seat-based or device-based that we're going to be talking about. So this is a real product of forward thinking for us as a group and for us as an industry. And I truly believe that seat-based billing, along with some of the other ways of billing, is really the evolution of the industry and the way to go.
That's great. Really appreciate it, and have always enjoyed having you guys on for a lot of your innovative thinking throughout the years as we've, pioneered in this space.
Thank you.
I'm actually going to introduce one of our newer partners, and I'm really excited about this. So BI Services is a group that obviously most, if not all of you on this call are extremely familiar with. They are bringing some new and exciting ways to make sure that delivery of a flat rate program are profitable, and that that they're profitable. And we're really excited to have them on board. So Wes McCarto, if I could possibly get you to jump in for a second, talk about why you're part of the SBB family now as well.
I appreciate that, Wes. We, like everyone, has been kind of understanding that this is going to be the way to go. So what we had endeavored to do was take the data that we had and figure out a model that would allow us to predict and accurately assign what a flat rate would look like in order to make the margins that we need. And one of the first things that was apparent, that volume drives cost. So every machine has a volume environment in which its cost is the best. Unfortunately, the current model, between the manufacturer's pressure for quota and the sales comp model, we tend to oversell everything. And so what we wanted to do was build an actual cost prediction model that would give you exactly what it's going to cost you as a company, based on your efficiency, based on your technical team, and based on what you've got in the field. What would you have to charge every month on those particular products to make a specific margin, and you assign the margin. So the goal here is to provide some predictability and some assurances that if we go forward with this idea, that we can actually calculate out what our costs are going to look like for supplies and for everything else. But once you switch to this model, it's about cost control. So the hypocrisy of our industry is we sell cost per page and then go out and teach our customers how to produce less pages. And so our feeling is what we need to be doing is getting them on a seat-based model, flatten the revenue, and then teach them how to cut the costs, because at least then our profit margins increase. So we're excited to be here. We're excited to get to show our tool and get everybody excited about seat-based billing.
Yeah, I was really pleased to see the tool set. It's definitely a missing link in kind of the ecosystem for seat-based billing, and really thrilled that we'll be together in October for the final one of the year. And maybe now we'll get Great America to speak. I think Kim Loudon is on the call, so maybe Kim, you could jump in and share, your thoughts.
Absolutely. So as Wes said, we agree that financing is often key to making the whole program successful, and we're really honored to be working with the others in the group. We've developed a document and a solution that allows you to do a holistic approach with everyone that attends the SBB roadshow. So at the roadshow, you'll just learn how these programs, allow you to be more competitive and protect those margins and continue to layer on all the additional services and solutions that you're providing to your end users, and to do that all on a single invoice to your end user.
Yeah, that's great, and it really is one of the most unique and complementary finance models, for flat rate billing that I've seen. So really excited to see you again and the team in October. Well, that's great. So where's this one going to be? The good news is we do a lot of these in conjunction with the BTA. And for the final roadshow, it'll be October 17th in Asheville, North Carolina for the Fall Colors event. And we'll be running the roadshow from 1 o'clock to 5 p.m. So the good news is if you're already going to that event, this is the day before. It'll give you time to do some learning specific to seat-based billing before you get to enjoy the rest of the BTA event. It'll be at the Renaissance Hotel. And just a couple of things on this is that if you can go to one or the other. You don't have to go to both. You could just come for the seat-based billing roadshow, or you could just be going for the BTA event. But if you're doing both, if you do sign up for the seat-based billing roadshow and then sign up for the BTA event, you can actually save 50% off your registration for that event, for the BTA event. So that's really cool. So what does it cost? It's $495 US dollars per attendee. And just to make it clear to everyone, we don't make money on these shows. We cover our costs. We think it's a great thing to do for the industry. And we make sure that everyone has a little bit of skin in the game to help us cover the costs for the event. And what that includes is obviously attendance to the event, your SBB certification with access to the portal and ongoing support, and food and beverages. And yes, one of the things that we always do is have a cocktail hour afterwards. And I know that each of the sponsors and the ecosystem members will be buying around for those attendees. Now, one other great thing about being on this webinar today is that if you were on the webinar, you will actually receive $100 off your registration. Just make sure that when you register for the roadshow that you type in SBB webinar in the code section when you're registering and get that $100 off. And don't delay. So there's only 15 seats available. We keep these shows small because we want a lot of dealer interaction, and we really only want people at the roadshow that are seriously looking at the model. We're talking about a lot of things which are changing. I was going to say going to change, but actually currently are changing the marketplace for those that are pioneering and driving the future of managed print. And we really only want dealers there that are serious about that. And again, that's up to you. If you're serious about doing seat-based billing or selling against it, it's really something that you shouldn't miss. So lose your competitors and not your seat. You can actually go to sbbroadshow.com to be able to do your registration and to learn a little bit more about it. The one final thing I'll throw in is that this year we're super proud and excited that we were actually awarded the MPSA Award for Innovation this year for the first time in, I think, history for the Managed Print Services Association as a group. So that we actually got the Innovation Award for seat-based billing as a group, and that was very exciting for us. And certainly look forward to you coming out to the roadshow to find out why. I know we're a little bit pressed for time, but certainly what I do want to do is just take some time if there are any questions that we can take those questions now.
Certainly, there's a few, Wes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. The first one is, once a customer is on a flat rate seat-based billing program, what is their incentive to implement a dealer's efficiency recommendations? In other words, how does a dealer have the power needed to drive costs down?
Yeah, there's certainly several ways to do that. And one of the things under a seat program is you're always going to be looking for additional ways to drive efficiency. Some of that could be through a reduction in the amount of color email that they're producing. It could be in the amount of duplexing that they're doing, raising that. It could be using embedded solutions to reduce waste volumes. Typically in my managed print days, when I was doing assessments as part of my sales process, anytime we installed embeddeds, we would see a reduction of anywhere from 24 to 27% in total volumes, just a huge amount, which explains in a cost per page world why most people aren't really fond of delivering embedded solutions. But certainly under a seat-based program, those are solid areas which we can go after to help drive those cost efficiencies. And there's certainly many more. The beauty of this is that as you engage in this long-term seat relationship with your customer, not only are you going to find them ways to be more efficient with their print, but you should be looking at ways to add additional value onto that seat with other offerings. So it's not just an area to help drive efficiency and cost savings. It's also an area for you as a dealer to be able to add additional offerings and additional margins.
Great, thank you, Wes. The next question is, how is this different from device-based billing?
Yeah, and as I said earlier in the slide that describes seat-based billing, both seat-based billing and device-based billing are a means to an end. So you're really basing the quote either on devices or on users. In the managed IT world, when they talk about a seat, that could mean users, depending on the application, or it could mean devices such as network computers or servers or other things. So a seat, quote unquote, isn't necessarily a user. It's just a metric which could be a device. And in the seat-based billing world, typically it's a combination of the two. I would say that the primary difference, though, is probably from a marketing perspective, is that when you talk about basing the price on the device itself, it could preclude you from managing the other elements that are in the office. So if I'm charging, let's say, per device for this flat rate, that it's typically with that piece of equipment that I'm actually installing in the environment. And it could be on the existing equipment as well. What's difficult now is layering additional services on top of the device. So if I want to do document management or managed IT, I can't say, well, I'm going to layer, another $5 on your device. It really doesn't work. So a seat is kind of a universal word, if you will, for either a user or a device, depending on the piece that we're actually looking to manage under that value-based contract.
Great, thank you, West. The next question is, how many dealers are using SBB?
Yeah, and I think I have a slide here somewhere. Maybe I skipped by it with my quick little fingers. So I'm going to show you a picture here in just 1 second. There we go. This is a listing of all of the dealers that are currently doing seat-based billing. And we're certainly the first to tell you that we're in pioneering days here, that the investment that Clover and the investment that Print Audit and Great America and now BI Services has put into this hasn't been about getting rich overnight. This is not a getting rich overnight scheme. This is making sure that we're in pole position for when the market does shift. And as we saw even in the early days of cost per page, those dealers that waited too long for the cost per page model, the ones that said let's wait until it's 100% solidified, etc., got into the market when a lot of the margin was already driven out of it. So the opportunity here for everyone that you see on this page, the current existing dealers, as well as yourselves that are on the call today that will come out to the seat-based billing roadshow and look at delivering this yourself, is that we make really good margins in the early days. So this is about making sure that we're ready, that we're in pole position to take that marketplace by storm when it does shift entirely.
Perfect. Thanks, West. Last question is there a type of account that is not a good target?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? And certainly because we're so fond of acronyms in this business, I've created one which is called HVA. which stands for high variability account. And just think of, I guess an example would be a school that you have no data on, right? So, and I want to be clear on that, because if you have an education customer, or if you have a strong base of education customers and you have lots of history on those customers, they are not highly variable anymore, because you have the data. You have years of data to be able to build the seat price on. That being said, if you're going into an environment, to a school, and they're not willing to give you historical information, that you have no understanding of what their print behaviors looked like over the year, then that's a high variability account. Typically, an HVA really is defined by the level of detail you can get to assess the environment. And schools, because they're very different now that we're back to school here in September versus the summertime in the middle of June, very different print behaviors. So it is technically an HVA if you don't have the, the data. Some other ones might be accounting firms that are doing tax season, work, etc. But again, these HVAs are not a problem if you have the right amount of data to be able to, to go in for the quote.
Thanks, Wes. That's all the questions that we have for now.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. I know that you're, busy out there, especially now that September is here and the kids are back to school. So happy selling, and look forward to seeing a bunch of you at the SBB Roadshow in October. This event has been recorded, so if you want to review it or share it with some of your friends, we'll make sure that we get you the link for the recording afterwards. And with that, enjoy the rest of your day.